Yes, so hello everyone. My name is Grace Njenga, and I am the member from UNESCO Youth Forum Kenya, and I'm excited to be moderating this second part of the Be the Changemakers Festival. And so in this afternoon session, we are going to be having exciting conversations. We are going to talk about mentorship. We are going to talk about fundraising and raising awareness about secure digital users and their data online. And so just to share, I'm also a social entrepreneur. I run a business for recycling waste management. And so this is very real, and I'm excited also to learn. And so for many young entrepreneurs in the early stages of launching their ventures or still in the ideation phase, the path is often fraught with challenges that can lead to stress and burnout. And mentorship plays a pivotal role in navigating these challenges and offering guidance, support, and strategies to build resilience and maintain a well-being. I believe that a lot of us young people, we need mentorship and guidance in one way or another. And so in this session, we are going to discuss what strategies exist on seeking mentorship, developing resilience, managing stress effectively, and establishing healthy daily habits. And so we are going to have presentations and keep on sending your questions on the Q&A section so that we can see and engage and respond with you. And so in our next session, get ready. We are going to have an amazing speaker all the way from Canada. I believe it's around 7 a.m. in Canada. And so our next speaker is none other than a very beautiful and exciting lady. She's called Nisani Gnanasoorian. She's the manager and programming for the King's Trust Canada. Nisani is a manager, and she has previously held positions at youth organizations in the UK, such as Restless Development and Appraising. And she is leading program development and delivery of youth employment and leadership programs. And Nisani has a biomedical science from St. George's University from London. And when she's not at work, Nisani enjoys trying out new recipes, going for walks, and traveling. So, ladies and gentlemen, get ready to hear from Nisani in this session, which she's going to speak about mentorship. Nisani, the floor is yours.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Grace, for such a kind introduction. I completely agree with you. There are lots of challenges young social entrepreneurs face. And, there is points where I feel young resilience is a great skill to have, but young social entrepreneurs probably need a little bit more resiliency than the average person just because of all of the challenges that they'll be facing today. So it's such a pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me. Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, depending on where you are based. I'm based in Toronto, so it is bright and early this morning. Let me know in the chat where you are joining from today. I'm really intrigued to hear, because I believe we have quite a global audience today. I'll just wait in the chat to see where people have joined from. Okay, I'll wait to see the chat a little bit later. So I'm super excited to be here. As Grace said, my name is Nisani, and I'll be speaking on a few things today, including growth, resiliency, and mentorship. I'm a program manager at the King's Trust, and like our name suggests, We were founded by His Majesty King Charles III in 2011 here in Canada, and our main mission is to create pathways to employment for young people, specifically young people that face barriers. And we have found that there are three main gaps between young people and employment. The first gap being the skills gap. We're hearing time and again from employers that young people don't have the skills that they are looking for. And these aren't just technical skills, actually. More often than not, it's soft skills. So skills such as communication, organization, and teamwork that employers are looking for, but find that young people lack. The next is the networking gap. I am sure you've heard of the saying, it is not what you know, but who you know. And this couldn't be more important when you enter the world of work. There are so many opportunities that are there to be grabbed if you know the right people and have a strong, supportive network. And then finally, the experience gap, especially in this climate where the labour market is so competitive, we are finding that even entry-level roles are demanding years of experience. So you fall into this trap of you need experience to get experience. So you don't quite know where to start. And my job here at the King's Trust as a program manager is to develop and deliver programs that make these gaps a little bit smaller to help young people find meaningful employment that they are looking for. And before I was in the youth employment space, I actually spent a good chunk of my career working with young people to empower them to create the social action projects that they are looking for. And so I'm super excited to be back here in the social action space. I love this space. It has great buzz and great energy. In fact, social entrepreneurs, particularly young people that are social entrepreneurs, are my favorite kinds of people. And like Grace said earlier, you know, it is an exciting space. It is a fun space. There is so much energy. There is so much inspiration, but it can also be an exhaustive space. There are so many challenges that you're going on at a time. You're wearing so many hats. You're fighting for a cause that you're so passionate about. And, you know, you're facing a lot of challenges too. You're fighting systemic barriers. So that's when resiliency comes in and the importance of resiliency. Like I said earlier, resilience is a good skill to have for anyone. But as a social entrepreneur, it's super important that you have built up resiliency so you're able to continue working through the fight that you're working through. And for those of you that are not familiar with the term resiliency, resilience is the ability to bounce back from challenges or stresses that you have faced. So it's your ability to, when you are faced with a challenge, you deal with it. When you're faced with a stressor, you deal with it, and then you bounce back and you come back to a state of normal. And to be able to explain what resiliency is, I'm going to use this stress map. Okay. And this stress map might be something that you have come across before. So you have the different zones. So you have the comfort zone, the stretch zone, and the panic zone. So your comfort zone is where you're most comfortable in, as the name says itself. It is predictable. You know what to expect. You're not experiencing much stress, and things are quite familiar. You're either in a routine or you have habits that you're going through, and there isn't much that would catch you off guard in this zone. Whilst that sounds very nice, it could also lead to atrophy. So atrophy is when your skills either plateau, so you're not growing any further, or your skills drop. So in fact, your skills become degenerative because you aren't using the skills, and that's not a great space to be in. The way that I'd like to compare this to is pull parallels to fitness. So if you are someone who hasn't been going to the gym or whatever form of exercise that you do, whether it's running or yoga or playing sports, you will find that your fitness level would either stay exactly the same or more often than not drop further down. So that's what the comfort zone is like. You're very comfortable, but you're not growing, and in fact, you might be deteriorating too in terms of your skills. And then we have got the stretch zone. So the stretch zone is where all the learning and the growth happens. You're learning lots of new skills, you're facing new challenges, it's exciting, you're putting yourself into new situations. And this is where you will encounter what I like to call positive stress or eustress. So this is essentially where you feel a little bit of level of discomfort, but it leads to growth. It's good stress. If we don't have any stress in our lives at all, you will find yourself in the comfort zone and you wouldn't find that you are growing or finding new experiences. So in the stretch zone, we have eustress, which is good stress. And again, if I pull a parallel to fitness, this is when you are active regularly. So you might be playing sports on a weekly basis, going for a walk every day, going to the gym, again, whatever fitness looks like. And you're putting a little bit of stress on your body, but it's good stress. You are improving your fitness, you are increasing your level of health. So it is good stress. You are growing. Having said that, though, spending too much time in the stretch zone can lead to entering the panic zone. What is the panic zone? So this is where we encounter bad stress or distress. And this is when there is too much stress or the level of challenge is too high and it exceeds your ability to cope or adapt. It's, you can't quite overcome it at this stage. You find yourself in a state of ineffectiveness. You struggle to perform, you're not doing as well as you usually would, or sometimes even you find yourself paralyzed and stuck. I know sometimes when I have too much on my plate, I just pause and go, oh, I don't even know where to start. And I just find myself paralyzed. And you start to feel a lot of either anxiety or fear, and those feelings become dominant. So this isn't a fun space to be around. And whilst you think, well, there is new situations that you're putting yourself out in, if they are way too far out of your scope and they're in your panic zone, they actually don't help you grow. Instead, you jump in and you freeze, if you will. It's really important that we avoid long-term exposure in this zone because if you are in the panic zone for quite a while, it can lead to burnout, and recovering from burnout can take quite a while. And the reason that I say it's important to avoid long exposure rather than avoid it as a whole is because life happens, right? There are times you will definitely enter the panic zone, and I'm sure you can already think of times where you have entered the panic zone. And these are unavoidable, they will happen, and that's okay. Resiliency is not about avoiding challenges, it is instead noticing the zones that you're in. Are you in the stretch zone? Are you in the panic zone? And knowing how you can come back. And that's exactly what resiliency is. How do you get out of your panic zone? How do you get out of your stretch zone if you've been there for too long, to make sure that we don't head towards burnout? How are we recovering from each one of those zones? And the way that we recover looks different for each individual, and the coping strategies that they have developed for each one of those can be different. They could include rest, they could include mindfulness, or setting boundaries between your work and your social life. Whatever that looks like for you, it's important that you manage to figure this out. And if you haven't quite mastered it yet, worry not. I would start with identifying what does it look like for me when I am in the panic zone or when I am in the stretch zone versus when I am in the comfort zone. So, for example, for me, when I'm in the comfort zone, when I'm not being challenged at all, I can feel quite bored. I might be just, I spend much more time on my phone than I usually do because I'm bored. So I just gravitate to my phone, which is the easiest thing to do. Maybe find myself doom scrolling for a few more hours than I should. My stretch zone looks like where I'm most excited. I feel a lot of energy. I find that I have a lot to do, but I'm able to get through all of it. So this is where I'm super energized. And then finally, we have the panic zone. This is when I have too much on my plate. And in this zone, for me, it manifests as physical symptoms. So I can quite literally feel heart palpitations. Sometimes I'm so anxious or so stressed that I can feel it in my body. So being able to find coping strategies that work for you means that you need to know which zone are you in first. What do you look like when you are in that zone? So have a think about it. What does your comfort zone look like? What does your stretch zone look like? And what does your panic zone look like? Once you've identified that and maybe even thought of examples from the past when you have been in those zones, the next step is to think about what are some coping strategies that would work really well for me to get me out of my panic zone. And again, this is very dependent on the individual. What works for me might not work for you. So it's important that you take some time to reflect and think what works for me and have those tools or those strategies in your back pocket so you can pull them out when you need them. Because the likelihood is if you are already in your panic zone and you feel quite overwhelmed, figuring out how to get out of that might feel a lot more difficult than when you are in your comfort zone or in your stretch zone. So if you don't have already, think about what strategies work for you and what is it that you would like to keep in your back pocket. And at this stage, resiliency is just about recovering from your stretch zone and your comfort zone, right? You're coming back into your comfort zone or into your mild stretch zone so you know that you are okay. I want to introduce a new concept to you which builds even further on resiliency. And this is the idea of anti-fragility. Anti-fragility means not only being able to withstand the stress or challenge, so not only just going through it, but benefiting from it and grow stronger from them. So what that means is, as a result of going through challenges or stressful situation, at the end of the other side, you have become stronger from it. So whilst resiliency is about surviving, just getting through the stress and getting through the challenge, anti-fragility is about surviving as well as thriving on top. You have done better for yourself as a result of going through that stress, and you have gained skills, you have become stronger. And if you were be put to be in that situation again, you will do much better than you have done so in the first time round. And the reason that I would like for you to think about anti-fragility more than just resiliency is because getting through problems is fantastic. But if you are in just the same situation again and again, and you're just constantly fighting and fighting and fighting, it can get tough, but also you don't see much growth. Whereas if you become stronger after each challenge or each stressor that you go through, you will see immense amount of growth. And as a result, you will find yourself in a mindset where you are looking for challenges to combat, because you know at the end of that challenge, you will be stronger, which essentially is a growth mindset. You want to become better, you want to do better. So what does that look like? How do we do that? How do we develop anti-fragility? It's through something called consolidation. So the consolidation zone is an additional zone that sits in between your comfort zone and your stretch zone. And this phase is where the real long-lasting growth takes place. In this space is after you've been stretched, where you have gone through your stretch zone, you've gone through a challenge, maybe a little bit of a stressful period of time, but it's the good stress. Remember, you feel energized as a result of the stress. You then come back into your consolidation zone where you pause, you reflect, and you absorb the experience. What has happened? What have I learned as a result? And as a result, you become stronger and more capable. And you want to constantly move between the stretch zone and the consolidation zone. Move back and forth, move back and forth. Challenge, reflect, challenge, reflect. So then every time you go through the challenge, you cement the learning, you take the growth from it before you move on to the next challenge. Because if you're just going from challenge to challenge to challenge to challenge, it's unlikely that you are absorbing all of the learnings that you have had from challenge to challenge, and it is unlikely that you are experiencing growth as a result. So always remember to consolidate. And what does consolidation look like? What should you do? Consolidation can look like reflection individually, so that could be journaling, thinking about what you've learned and what you've experienced. It could look like seeking feedback from some mentors or colleagues. And gaining their perspective. It could also look like thinking about, if I go through this again, what would I do differently? What worked? What didn't work? And more importantly, which is my favorite one, is celebrations and acknowledgements. It's so important to celebrate the milestones that you've been working towards for so long, any challenges that you have overcome. So make sure you do those before you move on to the next one. And then finally, rest and recovery. Taking breaks within your day, making sure you get enough sleep and build those thorough daily habits, and also allowing your mind and body to recharge. It's important to consider both the mind as well as the body. And consolidation can look at both a macro and a micro level. So at a micro level, at a smaller scale, it can look like daily habits. So making sure you get enough sleep every day. Maybe at the end of every day, you think about what went well today, what would have been better today. Maybe you have a small little celebration every couple of days. I know I love to get myself a sweet treat if I've had a particularly tough day at work, just to get me through it. So what does that look like for you? Or it can look like on a bigger scale. So on a macro scale, you might do bigger reflections after a big project that you have just finished, or you might do a bigger celebration for something big that you've been working towards. Maybe you've landed some funding for your social action project. Or you might take a vacation, take a break fully from the work that you are doing, and rest and recover. Great. And mentorship is a great tool that you can use to support this consolidation zone. A mentor can be a great soundboard, as they can bring their own expertise, their experiences, and help you with processing externally. So before you jump on to speak to a mentor about the challenges that you've just gone through, I would say self-reflection is number one. Make sure that you have thought about what is it that I have learned? Is there anything that I still feel uncertain about that I might want to speak to a mentor with before? And then you can go in and ask for some feedback from a mentor. How do you think I dealt with this? What do you think about my perspective? And get some feedback from them and another perspective on what you have just gone through. And then 3 is use your mentor as a thought partner, which is probably my favorite one, as you can dive into how they have gone through the experience before. Have they gone through something similar before? How have they dealt with it? And use their learning to support with your growth. And then finally, use your mentor to stay accountable and follow up. So after you've had your conversation, think about it. Okay, I've learned this, and this is what I would like to take forward. So feel free to share it with them. Let them know what it is that you're taking away going forward. And then finally follow up. If there was a piece of advice that really helped you, that your mentor gave you, make sure you let them know, hey, I used this advice that you had given me and it worked out really well for me. And, this is what happened. And mentors love to hear the story. It's a really good way to keep that relationship going. And think of mentorship like friendship. I know, especially being young and wanting to learn from people as much as possible, we're constantly thinking, how do I get a mentor? Where do I get a mentor? And think of mentorship like a friendship. You wouldn't go up to someone and be like, hi, will you be my friend? Instead, you find common things to speak about, you find things to bond over, and mentorship is quite the same. Going and asking someone, can you be my mentor? Can be a little bit awkward. They'll either be like, sure, and nothing really comes of it. But instead, a way to foster mentorship would be to find common things to speak about. And using your consolidation zone is a great space and a great tool for you to utilize mentorship and start building those relationships. Fantastic. So my final note for the day is going to be, yes, be in your stretch zone, but always remember to consolidate and repeat. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Nisani, for that amazing session. I think one of the things that I've taken is to think of mentorship as a friendship, like how we can approach a friendship. So I want to take this opportunity and take questions from the audience. And thank you so much, Husham Jawad from Iraq. I can see a question from you. And he's asking, what should I do if a mentor I look up to suddenly becomes distant or stops supporting me? There's also another one still from Husham. He says, what early signs of burnout should youth leaders look out for? And also, as since we're encouraging young people to be entrepreneurs and also leaders for organizations, there's been a lot of conversations on TikTok, on social media about toxic workplaces. So there's also another question: how do we create best practices for a mentally healthy organizational culture? Nisani?
Fantastic. Yeah, those are some great questions. So I'll tackle the signs of burnout question first. Burnout looks different for every person. My signs of burnout will likely look very different to your signs of burnout. So it's the ability to recognize when you're in burnout first through how does a space look differently for you. For me, burnout looks like a lack of motivation. It manifests both mentally and physically for me. So mentally, being mentally exhausted, but also physically exhausted. I don't have any motivation. I would much rather have an extra hour or two in bed. I really don't want to face my day. I can feel quite anxious. I find that even little tasks that I'm usually very capable of, I struggle with, and this could be my day-to-day tasks at work that I usually get through. For example, emails, which I'm perfectly capable of. But once I get to the stage of burnout, that feels like a huge lift and I start avoiding it. So think about what that looks like for you. When do you feel out of character? When do you feel really exhausted and it's felt like too much? And at the beginning stages, it definitely took me a while to realize that I was in burnout. But as you start catching those cues, you will figure them out quicker and quicker and quicker. And I think I'm at the stage now where I'm able to at least recognize when I'm early on in burnout, if not just before I'm going to hit burnout. And that's a skill that you want to get into because the deeper you are in burnout, the more difficult it's to get out of it. So yeah, that's my tip around burnout. And then did you say that there was a question around mentorship and what to do if you had a really positive mentorship relationship, but that has kind of not progressed much? Is that the question?
I
Yeah.
think Proceed.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Grace. Yeah, that's a really good question. I think it could be two things. One thing is either, you know, I think the first thing that we initially think as humans is something has happened. I've done something wrong. What have I said? Is there a mistake that I have made? Which could be the case. But the second thing which I'd like you to consider is their circumstances have changed, right? They might be a little bit more busier. They aren't able to commit as much as they were able to commit before. Their interests have changed at the moment. So think about that too. It definitely isn't always on you. And I think sometimes sitting there ruminating around, is it because I said this or shouldn't I have said that, can actually lead into being quite a negative headspace. Instead, it could just be that they don't have the time, and that's okay. And it's knowing when you can continue to keep in touch and when to keep that boundary. If you found that you've reached out a few times and they haven't been able to commit to that, maybe reduce the amount of times that you're reaching out to them. So think about that and play it by ear. Like I said, mentorship is like friendship. So if you found that you were really good friends with somebody at some point and then you're not as close, it's probably not because you've done something wrong. It's they're in a different life stage. They're a little bit more busier. So that's okay. Things happen. People's circumstances change. And just like how you wouldn't, pester a friend again and again and again, just think about how would I deal with this if this were a friendship? What is appropriate and what is not? And apply the same thing into mentorship. And remember, there are plenty of mentors, plenty of people that are willing to help in your career. So if they aren't able to do so anymore, that's absolutely fine. I'm sure you'll find someone else who aligns much better with what you're looking for. And then remind me of the final question, Grace.
The final questions, I think we've talked about burnout, we've talked about we were also, how do we create best practices for creating a mentally healthy organizational culture?
Oh, that is a great question. That's a big question. I feel like I can speak about this for a whole hour if you let me. It's a big question. I think step one is wanting to have that in the first place. So the fact that you are asking this question is great. You are striving for it and you're actively thinking about it. And the next thing I would do if I had to think about how do I create a mentally safe space in my organization is think about triggers that produce bad mental health for me. So what stresses me out, what provides burnout and things like that, and think about mitigating strategies that you could put into place. So for example, if you find that working long hours is something that leads to burnout for you, then making sure that you create a strategy to mitigate that in your organization. And this could look like, making sure there is a culture of come 5 o'clock, laptops are closed, we leave, make it a form of culture, make it a way of behavior in the organization. So again, just because of time, I could keep going on. I just want to say, think about what causes burnout for you, and then how can you mitigate those specific strategies and get people in the organization involved in those conversations as well, because burnout and stresses look very differently for everyone.
Thank you so much, Nisani. You have also, I think, addressed also the aspect of work-life balance. I think a lot of young entrepreneurs, we struggle with that aspect of balancing work and life. So that personal discipline of, hey, it's 5 o'clock, let's shut off laptops, let's go cook dinner or meet a friend. I think it's very important. So as we conclude this question, just a last question. What would you tell your younger self as you look back your journey on managing stress and staying motivated? In just like 1 minute, yes.
Oh, that is a great question. What would I tell my younger self? When I was younger, I was quite anxious about how do I, become a successful person? How do I reach all of the goals that I want to? And I looked up to a lot of people who were successful and thought about how can I become like them? I want to make sure that every step that I take is the right step. And I found that I would stress a lot about it. So rather than doing that, rather than taking every step, just trust the process and go along with it and trust that as long as you are putting hard work in and you enjoy what you're doing, you will find what you will, and success will follow you. And I think when you look at it from the other point of view, when you've heard someone who's been really successful come talk about their pathways into success, it could seem very calculated because each step led to the next, and it could seem like they planned it out from the beginning, but it's very rarely that it happens. It's just when you look back, you find the reason, but it wasn't always planned to be that way. So what I like to say is, if you look up at the night sky and you really want to see something, you can figure out a pattern. They're just stars, but you can figure out a pattern. And the same thing is with your career as well. If you look back at your career, you will find the pattern. But if you are trying to create a pattern as you go, you will honestly not enjoy the process, and you'll find yourself becoming a lot more stressed out about figuring out the next step. So the pattern is there, it will follow, it will make sense in 5-10 years, but for now, just do what you got to do.
Trust the process. Thank you so much, Nisani, for engaging us and sharing so much knowledge and information. And I mean, thank you so much. I hope that for those of us who are live in this session, we are getting to learn something. Keep on engaging us there at the chat box. Send in your questions at the Q&A. And so as we are moving on swiftly, we are going to invite our next speaker. Our next speaker is the Government Affairs and Public Policy, Global Policy and Strategy, International Organizations, Digital Equity, Education, HP Inc. I mean, there's so much wealth of knowledge that we are just about to encounter right now. So our speaker joined HP in November 2015 before he has worked for Cisco for around 14 years in corporate affairs and public sector managing. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, get ready as we have our next speaker, Markus Schwertel. Markus, you have the floor. You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Grace, for having me here and for the warm and friendly introduction. I have to admit that my job title is really a complicated one, and people might ask, what does that mean? I'm asking that myself sometimes as well. No, just joking. I certainly know what I'm doing. So, first of all, thanks so much to all the people who brought this amazing event together. It is great to see the BeChangeMaker alums connecting. This is something very close and dear to my heart, and I'm so curious to hear all the stories of everything that happened, to what you did in the past since you were part of this program. So thank you so much for the great work that WorldSkills International is putting in here. And it's a real pleasure being at this UNESCO-UNEVOC hosted webinar, and it is nice to have UNESCO-UNEVOC as partners of BeChangeMaker. HP is a proud founding partner of BeChangeMaker from the very beginning. We are getting ready for 10 years of BeChangeMaker, so next year. Curious how this will go. But what I will do in this short session is I won't have any presentation. I will just give you a brief update about something that HP is doing to support entrepreneurial learning, a brief update about what happened recently with the HP Learning Initiative for Entrepreneurship, HP Live, that all the alums hopefully remember and might still be using from their time when they went through the program. So those who joined BeChangeMaker just recently might might be aware of some of the courses, but those who are more senior members of the cohort might be surprised about what has happened in the meantime. So I just want to give you 4 updates about what happened on the HP Live front that might be interesting for you. And my apologies, I'm fighting with an allergy, and somehow the medicine has not kicked in yet. So that's why if you think that my nose sounds really a bit clogged, it is. So moving forward to the HP Live topic I wanted to share with you. Number 1, there is an app for it, meaning if you want to check some courses on HP Live, you can download an app on your phone, no matter if it's Android or iOS. And on that phone, you have access to all the courses in all the languages. And most importantly, you can even download the courses to go through it offline. So you don't have to have data when you use that. I can highly recommend doing the app for checking on some topics. What I'm doing using it on my phone is when a new course is launched, I usually take this course only on the app just to see how the learning experience is, and highly recommend. If you haven't checked out the HP Live app yet, I can recommend doing that, going to the app store of your choice, and end of this commercial break. There are 3 courses that were recently released that I want to highlight to you because I think they are interesting from various perspectives. One is customer experience for business success. And I think this is something quite a few social entrepreneurs or startups don't necessarily put at the beginning the customer first, because everyone is so obsessed, rightly so, with their idea and solution. So turning the perspective around and looking at the customer and putting the customer in the center of the planning and thinking about how to evolve is a really good concept to challenge your position and to grow. So customer experience for business success is a recently launched course on HP Live that will help you how to understand the voice of the customer better and to listen to your customer better. So this is course recommendation number 1. Course recommendation number 2, which was also recently launched, is a course about agile project development. So many people talk about agile, and agile is certainly a regular word in the English language, but agile is also a methodology that is worth to understand. And what this course does, and that's what I really liked at that course, is it gives you a brief overview about different methodologies, technologies you can use to manage your business differently. And it doesn't teach them to you in great detail, of course not, but it helps you to understand where do you want to dig deeper. So if you ever heard about Scrum or Kanban and you have no idea what it is, this course will help you exploring it and seeing if this is relevant to your business. So that is course number 2. And the third course, and I cannot work for a technology company if I don't talk about artificial intelligence. So there are so many things out there on artificial intelligence and about artificial intelligence. It's really difficult to keep track on what's going on. And if you have not started yet on diving into what artificial intelligence is and how it works, HP Live has a course for you, and that is AI for Beginners. So it is a course that helps you to get a basic understanding of artificial intelligence and how that impacts maybe your line of work. And I would assume there are not many lines of work that are not impacted by AI. So I can highly recommend to set some time aside and to get a better understanding of how artificial intelligence is going to impact your business now and in the future. AI for beginners, customer experience for business success, agile project management, and it's all on an app. This is the update I wanted to give you briefly on what happened recently in HP Live, and I'm looking forward to continuing the discussion. Also, what other courses would be relevant for you, and listening and learning from you what you consider relevant. And I only had a 5-minute pitch for this time for this presentation, so I'm already over. With that, I'm going back, and if there are any questions, feel free to fire them in the chat.
Thank you so much, Markus, for that update. I believe we are going to engage with you once again in a few minutes, just still during this session. So thank you so much, Markus. That was very helpful information. So as we proceed with our sessions, we are going to talk about micro learning. And so these sessions, they will aim to provide social entrepreneurs with the knowledge and tools necessary to fund their ventures, protect digital assets, and enhance business acumen through targeted online training. And I think that is part of what Markus has been sharing with us. So still in our next session, we're going to be hearing and learning more about Micro Learning Hub. And our next speaker is the Partnerships Manager for Junior Enterprises. This wonderful lady is going to talk about fundraising strategies. I believe all of these young entrepreneurs, we are always wondering, where is the money? Where is the money? We want the money. How do we apply these grants and whatever? And she's also going to speak to us about, she has been involved in fostering collaborations to connect students with industry leaders, help bridge the gap between education and professional world. A lot of young people and employers are here struggling with education and the skill sets required in the market. So, ladies and gentlemen, Lucia Raffaele is going to take us through the next session of fundraising strategies. So Lucia, thank you so much. You have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting us to be part of this amazing event. And thanks a lot also to Priscilla that also participated to one of our events. So I'm very proud to be here, and I hope that you will find this little micro-learning session interesting. So yes, I'm going to present our little presentation. So as I said, today we are going to talk about fundraising, the practical approaches that we can have on raising funds for social enterprises. But first, let me present briefly myself. I think that I am more or less the age of the audience because I have 22 years. I'm from Italy originally, but now I'm living in Belgium for this work that I'm doing with Junior Enterprises Europe. Junior Enterprises Europe is the umbrella organization that represents junior enterprises all over Europe. We are 34,000 students in 16 countries. And our main goal is to fill the gap between the world of academia and the world of work. But how we do that? Basically, with the junior enterprise, we are providing services to real clients, so to SMEs, to startups and everything, applying what we study theoretically at university. So we are going through the world of work directly to see what we can make our own. And all the money that we are making are completely reinvested in our education, so to upskill our skills and also to have networking opportunities both with our network and with other companies. So Talking about social enterprises. So as social entrepreneurs, you will find yourself in this line in which you have to care both about financial return and social impact. So you will see a lot of funders asking you, what are you? Are you a charity? Are you a normal enterprise? Are you, I don't know, a non-profit? Because sometimes they are, it's hard for them to understand what is your goal. Is it financial or it is social? And you have to answer both of them. And this is a problem to explain, but also a great opportunity for you to find specific fundraising opportunities. So probably a lot of you understood that with the traditional enterprises, so traditional businesses are focusing a lot on profit. So when they are encountering an investors or a venture capitalist, the first thing that they have to say is how much money I'm getting from this business. Okay, and this kind of data is measured by ROI, that is an index that calculate the return on investment. So when they're going to pitch their ideas, they are like, oh, if you invest in my idea €1, you will get €5 back. But you, as social entrepreneurs, have to focus also on impact. So you're going to pitch the idea to these investors in a little bit different way. You will say to them, if you invest in me €1, you maybe will get €1.50 more, or only €1, but you will help a lot of people that cannot go to school, or you will help to take out of the ocean 1 ton of plastic. So the important thing when you talk to investors, that there are particular type of investors, but we are going to see it later. When you are also applying to grants, you have to say to people that you have an impact on one side, but also that you are financially sustainable. So if the traditional enterprises have to focus on the return on investment, you have to focus on the financial sustainability and the social return on the investment. And this is something that is really important to communicate to the founders. Talking about the different channels that you have to fundraise, you can find 4 of them. There are a little bit more, but these are the most valuable, in my opinion, and in our experience. So first of all, you have grants and awards, such as this one of Be the Changemakers. But also you have a lot of them from foundations. And don't be scared if you see a foundation from USA, for example, because you can still apply also if you are in another continent, or from NGOs, or for public institutions. And after, you have impact investors. So impact investors are the one that not only that wants to make valuable investments. That this means that, for example, I met an impact investor and he said to me, yes, so in my investments, I want to get some money back, but just because I want to invest more in more social enterprises. So for them, the important key is the financial sustainability of your enterprise. After, we have crowdfunding that helps you to build a strong community around your mission, and you don't need thousands of euro at once with crowdfunding, but you can be supported €10 by the time with a lot of platforms, and I'm going to share with you some of them. And they are very interesting when you have a strong story to tell to people. And finally, the corporate partnerships. The corporate partnerships are very important, such as the one that UNESCO has with HP, because you have to know that corporates have a percentage of their budget allocated for social impact actions. So you can focus on that. You can convince these companies, saying to them, you are going to create an impact if you invest this part of the budget on me. And there are also some platforms to understand which companies are providing this type of partnerships. So to choose the right channel, you really have to understand what is your idea. So, for example, grants and awards are very good for if your idea is at the early stage. Impact investors, if you are sure to be financially sustainable, and if you have measurable data, and if you have a local company that is very focused on the territory, corporate partnerships are also very good. So it really depends on which stage are you, and you can also combine these channels. So, for example, you can apply to a grant, you can apply to be the ChangeMaker program, you can start your own idea, start to have a little bit an activity with this money, and after you can tell the story on a crowdfunding platform. So you can use both of them and you can create a good sustainable environment. So for your value proposition, you have to focus on impact measurement. You really have to have data about the social problem that you're issuing. So like with my enterprise, 100 people have now bathrooms, for example. The storytelling, because data are important when you're asking about money, but storytelling is really important also to create a community and to create retention. So to keep this money and to like say a good story to your audience and to your target. Community engagement, because your power is in the people that you're working with and is with the people that you are helping with your enterprise. And of course, scalability, because is very important to say, for example, to an investor, if you invest in me €1, you will get 100 people going to school. If you invest in me €100, you will have 10,000 people going to school. So that it really matters how many money are you asking to them, because it creates a bigger impact. So here you can find some useful tools and platform. I would suggest you to take a picture of them, but you can also find them on Google if you do a little bit of market research. So there are a lot of grants and awards platform, crowdfunding. For the crowdfunding, there are different platforms based on what you need. So for example, if you want to sell one part of your equity, there is a seeds. I'm sorry, I cannot pronounce it. For donations, there is GoFundMe and etc. etc. So based on the thing that you want to achieve and on the type of your social enterprise, you can choose. Partnerships, you can use LinkedIn plus newsletters, so you can subscribe to the newsletter that you really care about, that are going to advise you when there are some opportunities that are coming, so you will be updated without a lot of effort. Local chambers of commerce, but also CSR platforms. As I said, CSR is the part of the budget of the corporate that is allocated for social goods. So to look for this, you can use Benevity. For example, we as Europe, we use it, and it's very helpful to try to understand the situation. So the final takeaways of this brief presentation are to focus on value plus values. So you really have to communicate your values, but also the value that you're going to create to the others. Lead impact, not perfections. Sometimes if you are an ambitious person, you always want the perfection in your life, but it's better to deliver something than nothing. This is what we learned in our job. And build relationships, not just requests. When you're talking with someone that is an investor, a potential partner or something like that, you really have to understand the value of your relationship, and not only asking for money, but seeing like, if we collaborate together, we can create something together. It's not you doing the charity with me, it's you investing in me, so investing in our relation. and make your ask clear, actionable, and aligned, because you also have really to be organized. Even if you are, I know that sometimes social entrepreneurs are very focused on the social part of their enterprise, and that is very good. But without a clear plan, without a proper business plan and something that is concrete, your social purpose will not be as effective as you have something more measurable and more data. So take also this in consideration. So if you want to stay connected, here you can find my contacts, and also if you want to know more about the world of junior enterprises and everything, I will be more than happy also to help you if you have some questions about fundraising. It will be such an honor. So yes.
So, Lucia, thank you so much. I think we will take one or two questions. I mean, when I listen to a number of young entrepreneurs, we hear them being very fearful about engaging with perhaps venture capitalists. You hear they have fears of my shares will be diluted, or I'll not have any authority. So the question is, what are some of the biggest misconception about fundraising among early stage youth-led enterprises?
So, of course, when you're talking about young people, you're talking about people with not that much experience. So sometimes when you're talking to founders or investors, they are a little bit scared that you are not aware how to spend that money. This is why I told that it's important to have a proper business model and to have data, because you can show them that you are aware of what you're doing. You're not just an enthusiastic person that really wants to create an impact. You are a professional person. And so this is also why sometimes we wear suits, or we are very elegant when we are going to meetings with partners or with investors, because it's like a way to show them that you are aware of what you're doing and you're just not a kid. So I must say this.
Wow, I love that last comment. Just a last one before we proceed to the next session. There is this question: does Junior Enterprises Europe provide funding or financial support to individual professionals or consultants who want to launch a social enterprise? And if so, what is the typical range or scale of funding available?
So we don't have a proper channel to do that yet, but we have a network. So we try to provide, for example, we had some people in our events talking about impact investments. So there was an impact investor that knows about our movement, and people that participated to the event, if they were interested to do a social enterprise, they have a person that already believe in them as a movement. So we support most of all with the network. Yeah, this is it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lucia. I think just last one, this one was a bit pressing. I've just seen it. What are some of the best practices for identifying investors who align with the startup's vision and objectives?
Okay. So it's a very can you repeat the question? Sorry.
Okay, I'm happy to do that. What are some of the best practices for identifying investors who align with a startup's vision and objectives?
Okay, so I think looking for keywords when you are doing a research, for example, on LinkedIn or on Google, you have to find the right keywords to say. So, for example, if you are in sustainability, look for sustainability grants, sustainability investors, or people talking about it. And when you're searching about that, you will find someone that is interested. So this is what we do usually, or for example, going to events that are talking about that specific topics. So for example, if you are more into healthcare, just go to events in which there are people talking about it, and probably you will find some contacts that maybe are not directly giving you funds, but can connect you with other people that are giving you funds. So it's all about the network.
Wow, that is very, very, very helpful, Lucia. And thank you so much for, facilitating through that session. I believe it has been helpful for us, the 55 of us who are in this session. And so, keep on engaging with us. Send off your comments there at the comment section. Send in your questions and Q&A. Tell us which country are you coming from. It's amazing. Kenya is here represented. Yes. So we are going to move on to the next session, and our guest, our speaker whom we had earlier, Mr. Markus Schwertel, will be again with us, and he's going to be speaking to us about online training modules and business for business and entrepreneurship. I believe this will be very, very helpful for the young entrepreneurs who are present here. So Markus, welcome back again. You have the floor.
Thank you so much. And I will briefly answer questions I received in the Q&A before I start diving into the topic. So one question I received is, are the courses free? And yes, they are. All the courses I will be talking about are free of charge with no strings attached. So I will and other questions I see in the chat, I'll answer them certainly after after me speaking. So I only have one slide for this presentation because I just want to tap on three different areas where we as HP support learning, and I think this is something really relevant. Keep on learning, no matter where you are in your career. And specifically as a young entrepreneur, well, there is still so much to learn. And therefore, what I'm sharing with you now in this micro-learning session is 3 channels provided by HP, free of charge, no strings attached, that might be interesting for you to either look at it yourself or feel free to share it with others. So the 3 programs I want to talk about, one that will be very fast and easy because you know about it already. It's the HP Learning Initiative for Entrepreneurship, HP Live. I put the link in the webinar chat if you want to access it. On the one slide that I'm going to share, and by the way, to whoever owns the slide presentation, you can put that already up because the slide would stay there all the time. This slide will be in the material as well, and from there you can access all the courses that I'm going to talk to you about right now. So, by the way, if I may, I had, and I really enjoyed the earlier presentation from, and the question on how do you find someone who wants to invest in you? And there's one mantra I'm always using when it comes to how do I find someone who believes in what I'm doing. And this is not just something when you look for investment, it is something pretty general when you want to convince someone about what you want. And that mantra that I'm using is the bait has to be tasty for the fish, not for the fisherman, which means how it doesn't matter how passionate you are about what you have to offer. If the other side cannot recognize it as delicious, they won't take the bait. And therefore, when it comes to communicating with others, my strong recommendation is go into the other person's shoes and think about what's in it for them, in the sense of really be that person and ask yourself, if I were this person, what's in it for me? So therefore, changing this perspective is really, really a relevant one. Coming back to the three courses. HP Live, the HP Learning Initiative for Entrepreneurship, provided by HP Foundation, is a set of 30-something courses in 8 languages on a lot of entrepreneurial learning mindsets that hopefully will be helpful for you when you do something in your field. There is another set of courseware that where you might say, how does that apply to me? And I invite you to think about how it applies to you, because it is something where we see a lot of uptake in everywhere in the world, and that is the HP Gaming Garage. Ah, there we go. So the HP Gaming Garage is content on esports management, game design, game programming, and here it comes, generative AI in game development. So if you are thinking in your line of business that you are developing, either as a social entrepreneur or as an entrepreneur, it doesn't matter, and you are thinking about how can gaming help you driving your message, driving your product, this is courseware that can be really, really interesting for you, because specifically what the latest course does, generative AI in game design, is it helps you to build from scratch using tools that are available on the internet to create your own game on whatever topic you want to create. And this can be either a really important part of your product offering, or it can be a really decent marketing activity as well. So if you ever thought about gaming and did not know how to start developing gaming activities for your social entrepreneur, this set of courses will help you. And again, free of charge. And when you go through these courses, you might begin with several tools, and then it helps you to bring it all together so that at the end you can create your own game. And it is amazing what generative AI is doing today, because you don't need to do the coding. There are tools for it, and this is really a fascinating development. Now, this whole set of courses in the HP Gaming Garage is also helping to understand how does the esports industry work and what is the esports industry. So that might be of interest for you if you have not explored this area and yet that much. But it is a huge, huge ecosystem out there that is invested in gaming, and it is amazing to see the engagement, the enthusiasm of young people, of course, but of all generations. And therefore, if you have not considered gaming as, or if you considered gaming as part of what you want to explore, here's a way to get into it. And if you have not considered gaming as part of your offering, if you want to consider it, I think this is a very, very interesting thing. And the combination of entrepreneurship, entrepreneurial learning, plus gaming can be really, really powerful. What we see as HP with the Gaming Garage content is that it brings learners back to learning who might have had a distant relation or developed a distant relation to education in general, but by seeing the powerful combination of gaming and learning and how they can create their own business, their own ideas through gaming, that sparked new energy. And I think this is something really, really interesting to explore. So the combination, entrepreneur learning and gaming, if you haven't checked it out yet, check it out. And I think it has a lot of potential, because it can happen anywhere. And you certainly need decent internet connectivity when you work online, but still, it is a really good thing to explore. So, gaming, entrepreneurial learning, and then there is, last but not least, we see a lot of questions around artificial intelligence and how it is disrupting education. In order to help educators to get their head around how to deal with artificial intelligence in education, HP recently launched the HP AI Teacher Academy. And this HP AI Teacher Academy is, well, the title says it already, it's targeting teachers as people to go through this courseware. And the idea is to help them that they learn how to use AI for themselves. So this course does not discuss topics of regulatory questions or what AI system to use. It generally looks at how can AI help me as a teacher to become a better teacher, and taking away the fear, because quite a few teachers sit there and say, I don't even know where to start, or I'm afraid of what this is doing. And this course, which was developed together with an international NGO based in the US, Digital Promise, they really did a nice course that takes the teachers by their hand and walks them through, look, this is how you can use AI, and let's start with lesson planning. So this is something that I can recommend if you have connections into the education world. This is something you can hopefully recommend to education systems you're dealing with. Now, we had a discussion with UNESCO about this, and one feedback we received was that, oh, but starting with AI for teachers, there might be still some steps needed beforehand, because not every teacher might be ready to use and to think about AI. So that is why we launched another 2 courses. And the first one, and you see them down there. So the whole suite of courses is called the Digital Literacy for Teachers. So there's one course that is teaching how to use Microsoft in education. And somehow I forgot to type the second name in the line below, because the second course is about how to use the Google suite in education. So in case the education system uses Chromebooks. So these 2 courses help teachers from a very basic beginning how to use their technical device in education, and it leads to step-by-step understanding how to use the respective AI agent. So in Microsoft, the Microsoft Copilot, and in Google, the Gemini suite. So these are the 3 separate and different course streams, one from HP Foundation about entrepreneurial learning, the other one on gaming and what you can do with gaming, and the third one, how to empower teachers to upgrade the way how they are doing their job, hopefully, and to removing the fear of how to use technology. With these 3 learning offerings, we hope that we can contribute to a positive social development wherever this is happening. I don't know how we are doing time-wise, because I could and I would be interested to ask a few questions to the audience instead of just me getting questions. But first of all, I'm happy and open and ready for any questions. And if we then have time, I have a few questions for you as well. So back to you, Grace.
Yes, thank you so much, Markus. I think I think it's in order. If you have some few questions to help the session to be a bit more interactive, perhaps maybe one question before you ask your question is what are some of the most critical business and IT skills taught through HP Life that have proven essential for early stage entrepreneurs?
That's a very good question. Thanks for that. So I think it really depends on who you are and where you are in that journey. And that is the fun part of HP Life. It has these 30 plus different courses, and they do not build on each other, which means you can just pick and choose whatever is the right thing for you. So there are people who really benefit a lot from how to write a business plan, which is very basic, but it helps structuring that. Another one that I personally found really helpful and powerful. It has a very narrow focus, and it is, of course, it's a success mindset course, and it is looking at what is a smart goal. How do I recognize a smart goal? How do I make a goal smart? And it helps you testing and training how to make a goal smart, which is not just relevant for entrepreneurs, it's relevant for everyone. And last but not least, there is one course in there that's the growth engine. So, how to quickly move to growing your business. And I think this is something quite a few social entrepreneurs are struggling with because they rightly so think of their product solution being part of the work for the community they are in, and then expanding this solution or product is difficult, depending on what it is. And maybe they then only do a little growth instead of thinking big time. How can they just turn the switch and make something available, perhaps even as a next step on a global scale? And you never know how that would resonate where. So I think that's another important course to think of: growth mindset. How do you um, grow your business exponentially if you want to? That's the other part. If you're fine with where you are and growth is not the main concern, that is certainly also totally okay. But if you're struggling with, oh, shall I get to the next town with that? Well, how do you really think making it big? So that will be my answer to that question. Now I don't hear you anymore, Grace.
Okay, I think Grace is stuck. We can definitely come back in. Grace, I think there's a problem with her connection. I can just allow you to ask the question, Markus, that you had in mind, so we see how many people can respond to it, and then we can quickly come back to Grace when she probably moves to another place with a better connection. Over to you, Mark.
You're ready for that, and I was already ready doing that without permission. So for so if you can please put in chat the participants who are BeChangeMaker alum. So I have two questions, and I'll start with question number one. Question number one is, if there was one course missing in the HP Live learning offerings that you would love to have as a topic, but you don't find it there, and you think this would be really, really beneficial, what would that be? Please type in chat the course title you would be looking for, where you want to learn more. Where shall we put a focus on? And I can't promise that it will happen, but it helps us. And this feedback from people who went through the course is really important for us. So therefore, anything that comes to your mind where you say, I would want to have an HP Live course on this, please type that in chat. And that would be my question number one. I don't know, Priscilla, how we want to do that. Do we have some background music? Want to have a time clicking, or what is that? This can run also in parallel. I don't know how we are doing time-wise.
Yeah, I think we can just type these two questions that you have on the chat function and allow participants to answer as we continue, so that we don't get away from the agenda.
Thanks so
So
much. So I'll type it in the Q&A, and with that, give it back to you.
okay, thank you. I'm still trying to see. This is another issue with technology. Sometimes you're connected and the next minute you're not. So hopefully we can get the moderator back. But I think in the meantime, it's already looking very good. So many questions have been answered. And I think the question that Markus is asking, please take time as I try to fill it up to answer this question, because if we move to the next session, you will already be concentrating on this other. So we'll just allow like 1 minute or so to answer these questions. It could be, even if it's something that is already there, but you're not aware it's there, just add it on so that we can reaffirm that we are doing a good job in having that course there already. So take your time and just fill it out. And yeah, as usual, thank you so much, Markus. You always have a way of sharing your presentations. It was just one slide, but we really got a lot from it. I'm very happy to hear about the new courses I was not aware of. So really good, and thank you so much for that. I'm still checking to see the responses, and I think we should be able to have something. So since I don't see Grace coming back, or she's back, I'm not aware. No, she's not yet back. So I will just maybe give a quick summary of what has just happened. So the micro-learning hub, this was supposed to be a more training, kind of what Lucia did. Thank you so much, Lucia, for coming here and really giving us that kind of summary on fundraising. Very insightful. So the micro-learning hub is really to give you toolkits and to give you the platforms where you can actually go after this and get something out of it. So Lucia shared a few toolkits, and we're going to share this later into the PowerPoint of how you can actually access fundraising opportunities, as well as Markus Schwertel has just shared about the new opportunities within the HP Live, other than the courses that you can take, which is more than 30 courses on entrepreneurship at different stages of entrepreneurship in different languages. I think you cannot beat this kind of platform in developing your own skills. So this is another way that you can really outline yourself and put yourself out there for great learning. As you had in the morning sessions, that we will need. The future is for the people who are able to learn, relearn and learn, because that is the way you adapt to the future. And as we wait for these responses to come, I would like to take the opportunity to welcome the first alum who is going to inspire us as we close the day. I know it's an afternoon, it's been a long day, a lot of information overload, but I believe this lady is going to inspire you. So our next speaker is going to be from Team Medvax. Chioma is going to join us to give us a little bit of a TED Talk style on what she is passionate about and what she's been up to for the last few years. Chioma, the floor is yours. Please welcome.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon from Nigeria. I'm super excited to be here. Thank you so much, UNESCO, for putting this program together. Thank you, HP Life and WorldSkills. My name is Chema Uzoma. I'm a pharmacist from Nigeria and the founder and CEO of Medvax Health. We were the first runner-up for BeChangeMaker 2023 in Dublin, Ireland. And it was, you know, it was an amazing experience. It was a launch pad, you know, for our company to, you know, kick off operation. We got our very first seed funding from, you know, from the BeChangeMaker program. So it's a program that I hold so dear to my heart, and I'm so happy to be here to share our story. So I'm just going to be, you know, giving a background on how, you know, I started and where we are now and where we are headed. So while I was in the university as a pharmacy student, I always had passion for, you know, social impact. I would always, you know, organize outreaches, go to secondary schools, teach girls about their health, sexual health, prevention of unplanned pregnancies, you know, distribute free sanitary pads. So what I did while in school, so I was trying to, I did a lot of pet projects. So I would raise funding, crowdfund, and then go get all these supplies, look for a good school or any school around that had the kind of population I wanted, and then we'll go there and distribute these pads. And the girls were very happy. However, I realized that our project did not have the components of sustainability and scalability. Why? Because, you know, we did this once every year. So once we were done with the outreach for the year, you know, we didn't have contact with these girls anymore. We couldn't follow up on the impact of what we had done. And it was, you know, I started to think about it. And then that was where I started to explore technology, because I realized that there was a shift in the social impact space from social impact to social innovation. So we started to see a lot of NGOs, you know, incorporating technology into their work, especially in LMICs, that's low and middle income countries, and in sub-Saharan Africa in general. So we noticed this trend and started to, you know, really look in depth to see, okay, what's happening here? Why technology? So there was a lot of doubt because, you know, digital literacy was not really, you know, as high as in the more Western world. There was low adoption of technology. There was low bandwidth penetration, you know, all of these issues. So we started to see how we could, you know, go into that. And that was how I founded, you know, Medvax Health. So first and foremost, Medvax Health is, you know, a women-first health technology company that leverages the power of low-cost, innovative technology to improve access to healthcare for the most vulnerable people in Nigeria, and we are hoping to scale to other, you know, West African countries and hopefully globally. So the first issue we actually set out to solve. As a pharmacist, I did my internship, you know, in a teaching hospital. That wasn't so great. And in that time, I experienced something. I saw that, you know, a lady was injected oxytocin. Oxytocin is a medication that is used to prevent postpartum hemorrhage, especially, you know, after childbirth. So the medication happened to be substandard. So upon investigation, they found out that, you know, they had purchased it from a non-verifiable source. And, you know, this had caused a lot of complication and the lady bled to death. So this was very pivotal in making me to, you know, start seeing, okay, how can I, you know, combine the work I already do, technology and this situation. And, you know, that's how I thought about, you know, having an e-pharmacy platform. So in Nigeria, it's a bit different. I know in the other parts of the world, you know, patients have not so much interaction with pharmacists as per, you know, the drugs they need in the hospital. But because of supply chain deficiencies, you know, very frequent stockout rates, many pharmacies within hospitals are very much understocked. So what happens is the doctor prescribes his medications, hands hands over the prescription to the patient and asks them to go and purchase it outside. Now, there's no regulation as to where do I purchase it from. So you see a lot of fake pharmacies coming up, and with very weak regulations, these people are able to sell. And then you put the patient at risk. So we're thinking of, okay, how can we design a platform that connects patients to verified and licensed pharmacies with the intention to combat, the spread of counterfeit medications or the distribution of counterfeit medications within our communities. And so while exploring this idea, we realized that a very huge issue would be funding. So I started looking for incubator programs that would, fit into this dream. And that was how I came across the BeChangeMaker application. It was very friendly. So I had seen other applications, but this one stood out because it was really idea stage friendly. It was early stage friendly. We had a lot of incubator programs, accelerators. They'll tell you, okay, your traction, how many customers do you have? How much money have you raised? What's your profit margin? How much did you raise, last year? Your recurring revenue and all of that. And we didn't have any of those. So it was like we found a lot of, mismatch with our idea and the incubator programs we were coming across. So the BeChangeMaker program was very much early stage friendly. And that's why I always, for those of you who are listening and you haven't applied yet, I think the application is open now. I'm a big advocate for the BeChangeMaker program. So we applied to it, and thankfully we were selected out of 590 applicants from 89 countries, and we got to top 30, and that's how we were onboarded into the program. And we were exposed to the HP Life courses. They were transformational. We learned a lot. My team and I, we went through all the courses, and were able to have a grasp and refine our vision. And then that was how we were able to, go on from there. And thankfully, we came as first runner up at the end, and we got our seed funding. Yeah, so that was the launch pad for Medvax Health. And so when we came back, we were so set on, leveraging or building technology to combat counterfeit medication. That was our value proposition. So as we kept working on that project, we realized that it was more complex than, I had thought. There's a lot of, loopholes, regulatory barriers, political, holds and all of that. So I started to think about it like, okay, this problem is more complex than, I had thought. So I pivoted. So, and this is something I would love to talk about when it comes to entrepreneurship. A lot of us, we start out on a project, and then because you have publicized it, you have, wrapped your identity around this project, you see clearly that it's either you don't have the capacity or the resources to actually solve it, but you are scared to pivot because of, shame or, so, but we didn't do that. I saw very quickly that, this was a project that maybe when in future, when we are more, grounded, we could actually look into it. So I realized that at the end of everything, the core issue was actually access to medications, access to quality healthcare. And the people that I was really, so concerned about were women and children, who were the most vulnerable. So, and this is how we started, to build Nigeria's first women-centric e-pharmacy, the Med Tracker. So I don't know, my slides, are they available? Hello?
Sorry,
Hi,
I'm saying we'll share the slides for the tomorrow's session.
Oh, okay. I've shared
video.
my slides. All right, it's fine. So yeah, so we decided to, go into solving the problem for women. So at the core of everything, we realized that technology is actually key in ensuring scalability of healthcare solutions, of of healthcare solutions. So especially in low and middle income countries, it's both transformational and it's foundational. So most of the healthcare systems within our locality, they're weak, they're fragmented, and they're inaccessible. So you see women having to travel miles to just access their antenatal, care. You see women having to, wait for weeks to see a doctor. So we started to look at how can we leverage technology to solve this problem for women. And that's how we arrived at solving maternal health outcome in Nigeria. So, so far, we've been able to bridge that access in 2 communities in southern Nigeria, Delta State. And we've been able to, launch the very first version of our app. Although we know that we have a lot of work to do, which is something else I'll be talking about. Your first product may not always, be the best, and that's something that has held a lot of, young entrepreneurs. You want to build like you have been in the game for 15 years, so you have to take it slowly. You don't have to, wait until you have built everything and you have everything in place. Just do what. That's why they say minimum viable product. Make sure that your very first product at least, should have the main components. You don't have to wait till you have all the AI or it's great if you can, but don't slow yourself down because you do not have it all figured out. Like I was watching a video clip by Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, and he said, ideas do not come fully formed. Your first idea may not actually be, because Facebook didn't come up as, something that the whole world would use. He started off as, a book for, ex-classmates. So now we are done with school. Let's do this online book where we can, post our pictures and remember ourselves. And then it started to evolve from there. And they're like, oh, we can, you can launch it in another university. And that's how it started going from university to university, and it spread across the world. And now it's something else, it's an advertising platform, it's a platform for a lot of things. So my point is, you may not have it all figured out, you may not have your whole idea, just take the next step, in front of you. So what's the role of technology in actually delivering healthcare? So it helps to bridge access. So right now we have women who, instead of having to travel for hours, just to ask a doctor, and you find out that sometimes, because as a pharmacist, I worked in a hospital for a long time, and most of the time you see someone, travel all the way, and their issue is just, malaria, and they give them ACT and paracetamol, and the person had spent way more money. If the person had access to a doctor from the comfort of their home, they'll probably just have the prescription and go get it in the nearest, pharmacy. So we're trying to leverage telemedicine to connect patients in rural areas with, licensed doctors, so to reduce unnecessary travel and delays. So we're also leveraging mobile health platforms, like SMS, WhatsApp, to deliver reminders for antenatal visits. So currently, Nigeria have one of the highest maternal health, maternal mortality rates in the world. And, we've been working, government agencies and, partner stakeholders have been working hard to drop it down, but we've had reasonable progress. However, there's a lot of work to do. So one of the main causes, antenatal care. Many women do not see the need, either due to poor education, poor exposure, lack of finances. They don't see the need to actually go to the doctor for their antenatal care. They're like, oh, we've done this before. Probably had 5 kids already. And they're like, no, don't worry about it. And then you find out that, they actually had a complication that needed to be identified earlier. So, so what we do is to provide reminders for antenatal visits, provide reminders for medication adherence as well, because, as a pregnant woman, you need your daily routine medications, folic acid, fesolate, and all of those medications, and people don't understand why they use them. So we do a lot of education as well, because sometimes you see women down with anemia, which is also one of the leading causes of maternal mortality. You see women down with anemia, but if they had consistently taken their fesolate, all through their 9 months, they probably wouldn't have experience that. So we also leverage technology to, improve health education and behavioral changes. So we also leveraged our app, the MedTracker app, to provide SRH education for women and youth. And then we create content to drive awareness for these women. So we also designed a WHO standard birth kit, a delivery kit. So the picture right here is, one of our delivery guys providing the kit to a woman. So these delivery kits contain WHO standard delivery products. So to help women, they are more affordable than what they would normally see in their environment. So we made sure that we streamline the supply chain in a way that it is very affordable and accessible as well. So we are leveraging last mile delivery as well, because we realize that due to geographical barriers, there's a lot of friction in accessing certain products. So with our last mile bikes, we're able to ensure that deliveries get to the women who need them the most. The role of technology is vast. You can't exhaust it, honestly. So, but we also leverage real-time data collection. So through our apps, we're able to see how women are able to, adhere to these visits. We're able to understand their behaviors and able to make interventions accordingly. So we are looking forward to partnering with more governments, public health facilities, to integrate this tech into their, regular intervention. So usually when a pregnant woman signs up for antenatal, nobody tells you to download an app to help you, through your pregnancy journey. But we are trying to see how we can integrate it as a normal, regular part of their health journeys. And we're not just looking at pregnant women. So, but right now, this is our focus. We hope to expand, our service offerings to include other women, young girls, young girls, basically, who are like within the range of 18 to 24. And our e-pharmacy model is very unique. It's a women first or women-centric e-pharmacy. This is the first of its type in Nigeria because we are ensuring that our inventory reflects the needs of women who need these products the most. Because what we find is that some pharmacies, they really stock drugs to suit their financial projections. So if a product is not going to sell so much, whether women need it or not, it's not really a priority. So they just say, okay, what's the profit margin on this product? It's 40%. Oh yeah, let's stock it. And then, you find out that a woman comes around, she needs this. Oh, it's not available. We need this, it's not available. So with our women-centric e-pharmacy, we are ensuring that we are dedicating a huge chunk of our budget to women's health and women's health products. So far, we've been able to launch the app. We're establishing partnerships with government, local NGOs, and ensuring that our products get to those who need them the most. So I'll round up by saying that as a social entrepreneur who wants to innovate in healthcare, there's a lot of things you need to put into consideration. First of all, you need to build with empathy. You need to co-create with the people who you aim to serve. Sometimes, we just build. A speaker said people just build based on their ideas. They're not really thinking, okay, these people, they don't spend time with the people who they aim to build for. So you need to build with empathy. You need to deeply understand the lived experiences of the people you're building for. And it's not about assumption. It's about listening, observing, and co-creating with your users. Also, I'll talk about resilience because building in low resource setting can be really hard. Because when you tell someone, okay, subscribe to my platform, it's $3 per month. In the developed world, that is very probably cheap. But here, it's like, you are not serious. Like, how do I give you $3 every month? How much am I making? So the ability to push through these setbacks is non-negotiable. So it means that you have to be flexible. You have to be innovative in your thinking and in the way you try to generate revenue to ensure your sustainability. And then systems thinking, you have to see that healthcare problems are interconnected. So sometimes you should look at it, oh, I'm bringing my product and they're not using it. So have you thought about digital literacy? So you should look at how do we incorporate government systems, cultural, stakeholders into, ensuring this successful deployment of your tech solutions. And then adaptability. So tech changes fast. So for those of us in the SRH space, you know that there's been a lot of shakeups by, USAID funding, different kinds of things have happened. So your ability to adapt fast, your ability to understand the ecosystem and understand, what to do as a leader is very key. So the lessons I've learned on my journey, I don't know how much time I have left. So I've learned a number of lessons, within the course of 2 years. First of all, I've learned to create structure and to follow legal processes. So as young social entrepreneurs, especially for those of us who want to apply for the BeChangeMaker, you may be too excited and be like, oh, I have this great idea. You just want to run with it, but you don't want to understand what are the legal precautions I have to take. Do you need to incorporate your business first? Do you need to establish equity distributions amongst your team members first? Because a lot of teams are no longer together till now because of these issues. There are critical issues that need to be talked about. So, you just say, oh, let's go and do this thing and, let's travel. And then you come back, you see issues. People are, I'm the CEO, I'm the this. And so the lessons I've learned is to ensure legal structure, before you even launch out as much as possible. Then it's okay to pivot if your solution is not working. Try to be honest with yourself. Tell yourself the truth. Leverage data, leverage research to know, okay, who are the people that have tried to solve these problems before? What bottlenecks did they face? So am I saying I'm better than them? You see people who had, 15 times more of the resources you have, and they'll tell you, oh, this problem, we're no longer solving it. Why don't you try to find out why? Try to find out what issues they face so that you do not, waste your resources solving a problem that you have not yet properly understood. Then the next thing I would say is start small, then scale fast. Try to not, there's what they call lean startup model. Try to cut down your cost. Sometimes some funding comes and it's like big money and you just want to distribute it, spend it on tech, on bogus technology that is not even relevant to the people you want to serve. So try to be sure that your investments are worth it. Then your team matters as much as your tech. You learn to build with people who believe in your mission, not just in the product. That makes all the difference. And then lastly, partnership is power. So after we came back from BeChangeMaker, we didn't just rest and say, oh, we are back now. I understood that we needed more partners, we needed more funding. So since we came back, we applied for the UNFPA for our Power Challenge and we won. We got, very substantial funding from there. We also applied for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation program in collaboration with the Edo State government in Nigeria. We also won that. So that enabled us to have solid footing and helped us to in much of our in our operations. So, and the last something else I would say before I round off is do not overlook policy barriers. So you might be too excited, and you want to do things and you do not check what is the regulatory framework, within that industry you're trying to serve. I'm a pharmacist and I had no idea that there were, regulatory frameworks around telemedicine, around, e-pharmacy operations. I just thought, oh, I'm done with school. I have my license, so I should just go build an app, put products on there and then deliver it to them. And then I found out that if I had done that without doing my research, probably would be in jail by now because, there was a procedure, there was a legal framework that had just been released that year, and I had no idea about it until I went to do my research. So ensure that you are not overlooking regulatory frameworks within your industry. So I think I'll round off by saying my favorite quote, which is do it scared, do it afraid, but do it anyways. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chioma, for that wonderful session to hear what Medvax is doing. I mean, it's amazing to hear what young people are doing with technology to solve issues about health. And I mean, to solve also African problems. Thank you so much for sharing. And I believe that even our audience are getting to learn so much. I like that you have highlighted the issue of policy, regulatory frameworks. I believe we are all getting a wonderful opportunity to learn. And so I want to take this opportunity and thank you, all of you, our audience, our participants, our speakers. I mean, you have done an amazing job to educate us, to expose us to a wealth of knowledge. As young people with many areas that people are just trying to figure out, how do we go about funding? What about the courses for training? And I want to encourage everyone, keep on your responses coming. Markus asked us a very important question so that they can know what courses, I mean, they can customize for us. What courses for HP Life would you want to see in the future? So we have concluded the sessions for today. And I want to take this opportunity and invite you for tomorrow's sessions. We still have exciting conversations that are going to happen on here. We are going to talk about the power of skills in driving social change. We are going to talk about environment and circular economy, and we are going to also hear progress reports and updates from some of the BCM alumni and what they are doing, what is the progress they are having. So make sure you don't miss out on tomorrow's session. So thank you so much. I want to take this opportunity and invite Grace Lang from WorldSkills to help us in concluding this session. Thank you, Grace, my namesake. You're welcome.
Thank you, Grace. Wow, I have to take a deep breath because just come to the end of this day, so many powerful conversations, and I want to join you to say thank you to all of you for showing up and sharing your thoughts and bringing such good energy today. We've covered so much, from just how the young social entrepreneurs tackling pressing social issues, using AI and technology for good. And I really enjoyed the session about the importance of resilience, especially for social entrepreneurs, and a very wonderful learning tool like the HP Live and practical tips on fundraising. So, and thank you to Choma for joining us to share your incredible learning. As I mentioned earlier today, I hope each one of you has at least found that one thing that inspires you the most from this event. And the biggest takeaway for me from today is that young people aren't waiting for change. I think you're already creating it, or on your way to build businesses with a compelling purpose. So we know it's not easy, but let's keep learning, let's keep showing up, and don't be afraid to do things differently. And one of the things you can do after today, like Grace mentioned, come back again tomorrow. We have so many great speakers, as I read through the program, lined up for you. So thank you so much. It's such a privilege to be with you today, and our amazing partners, HP and UNESCO-UNEVOC. So let's keep the conversations going. Thank you.